Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are live with Mama Tribe.
Woohoo! It's Thursday. If you're seeing us in the flat world, it's because it's Thursday. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am OG Mamacita.
I'm MJ.
And this is Alison Elsberry with us this morning.
Hi.
Hi. So, true to form, today is chaotic, as pretty much is every day for Live with Mama Tribe. So, I would just like to apologize in advance if there are any naked children, any tantrums, any nip slips, or anything of that nature. I hope we don't offend anybody, but this is our lives. This is how we roll, right, MJ?
You know it. I don't think any of our viewers would be offended, at least with any of those things. Naked children, nip slips, tantrums. Yeah, that's normal. This is our life.
And the occasional potty mouth from me. But
Oh, well, yeah, we've got to be able to throw in the potty mouth every now and then. That just makes us feel better.
right? So, MJ, I know that you might have to skedaddle off of the show at some point today. So, is there anything you wanted to pitch and promote and get out there before we start this conversation for realsies?
Sure, yeah. I might need to just kind of go in and out this morning for some things going on at my house, but tomorrow night we are going to be live. All Things Crunchy, we're doing this second superhero show, how to raise our little ones who are in love with superheroes, and I'm going to have two of my favorite mamas on again, Melissa Lang-Lytle and Rachel Rainbow of Sage Parenting. And we're going to talk about some other things that we couldn't get to on the last show, so I'm super excited. We're going to talk about some screen time. We're going to talk about weapons and also some tips on how to embrace your child's superhero love, but in a costly manner. So I'm super excited about it. So it's 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night, yeah. I think it should be really good. I'm looking forward to it. And, because we are also big superhero and sci-fi fans at our house. And so we always have we always have to kind of like take those things into consideration because so often our kids see sex as everyday, or I should say sex is something that's hidden and violence is everyday, when I really think those things need to kind of be flipped around.
Totally.
So that kids don't have all of these issues with their bodies. But that's a tangent that I have just taken off on.
No, I love that one. We should definitely pursue that in one of our shows, because having, you've been over to Europe, I've been over to Europe, and man, it's just that's one thing I love about Europe. They just don't even, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it shouldn't be a thing over here. But, and this is Mama Tribe Network presents the All Things Crunchy. So you'll find the event through Mama Tribe as Mama Tribe After Dark.
Yes. So excited for that one. So excited.
I'll mute myself since, that's going on.
Okay, well, I might have to do that too. Cassius, honey, look, you see? I'm working right now, so I need you to be quiet, okay? Oh, boy. So, yeah, that's a picture of our car because I crashed into somebody. Okay.
Awesome.
I did. Right in front of our apartment, and the security cameras caught it all. So, Allison, thank you so much for coming today and being patient with our chaos of everyday life. So I just want to tell people really quickly how it is that I came to meet you. So, I think about a month or so ago. Susie, can you please be quiet? MJ and I went to the Mamas, Midwives, and More festival, and Allison was there presenting, and she had a booth, and it was just really cool because she works on a topic that I find fascinating. So I'm going to let Allison go ahead and take the reins for a minute, and if you could just give us a little background as to who you are and what you do and what got you started, that would be really cool. And I'm going to mute myself because he will talk over you.
No worries. And, you know, I also wanted to kind of giggle because we're also in the energy of the full moon for the show, too. So, like, anything kind of goes during this period. So it's all perfect.
Okay, good. Everything just kind of, like, kicked up a few 100 million.
Yes.
I was just asking the other day, my husband, is there a full moon coming? Because sometimes I just can't explain the behavior that's going on.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, it's full moon. Yes. So I just want to say hi to your viewers. I'm Alison Elsberry, and I empower moms to raise spiritually gifted children. And I help moms overcome doubt, overwhelm, and blame so that you can feel more confident and capable to really nurture your child's gifts and talents so that they're free to share them with the world. And I get asked a lot, you know, what is a spiritually gifted child? And I love that question because it kind of perks up people's ears. And it's kind of fascinating, and it kind of draws you in. And I grew up as a spiritually gifted child, and from the time I was really young, I would see spirits and angels and be able to communicate in that way. And I could see and feel and sense energy that my family wasn't talking about. And one of my imaginary or invisible friends was actually Mother Mary. And I would see her plain as day. And I thought she was just another member of our family. And when I got language, one day my family was going out to dinner, and I said, "Oh, isn't Mary coming with us?" And my mom was like, "Who are you talking about?" And I'm like pointing because I just thought everyone else saw her too. And then I realized in that moment, oh my gosh, no one else sees this person. And my mom said, "Oh, don't tell anyone, you know, that you see that." And so I didn't know what to do with that. And so I grew up keeping that part of my inner world inside because I really wasn't sure how to outwardly express that, who to tell, or even, you know, what to do with the information that was coming through for me. And I became a pediatric occupational therapist. And from the first day on my job, moms were coming up and they were saying to me, "You know, my child's doing this really interesting behavior." And then they would explain it to me and they would say, "What does that mean?" And I would just seem to have a clear way of helping them understand their child's soul, which is what they were really craving. And then I became so fascinated by that connection that I started studying other modalities and therapies and dove really into relationship dynamics between moms and children. And eventually, you know, more moms started crossing my path, asking me these questions, and so I created a whole entire business, you know, around raising moms with spiritually gifted kids. And you know, it's really amazing to see how many children are coming on to the planet and being birthed into the world that have amazing capabilities and skills.
You know,
And,
I'm sorry, I think, you know, there are a lot of moms that, I'm sorry, do you hear never mind. So a lot of moms are faced with the issue that their child will say or do something that they don't quite know how to respond to. And how, I mean, how does a mom tell the difference between just your average imagination and a spiritually gifted child? How do you determine if your kid is just lucky at, figuring something out, or, hitting the spot, or if they actually have some kind of intuition or insight?
It's a great question. And, how I like to answer that is I like to say that everyone on the planet is spiritually gifted. It's not a matter of if your child is or if you are or are not. It's a matter of, are you awake to that possibility? Do you know what your gifts are? And so what I'm seeing is a trend with a lot of kids coming in, and they're really awake to their spiritual gifts, and they're being able to express it. And sometimes it's really easy to misunderstand those messages or miss it altogether, just because we live in a really modern, fast-paced environment and world, and those messages can be really easy to miss. But to come back around to your question about imagination versus spiritual gifts, there's really not a lot of separation between that, because the parts of our brain that actually register imagination and creativity and how we connect to our spirituality is all in the same area of the brain. So yeah.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So it's really a matter of what, how are you willing to see your child?
I guess I'm just much more, I'm the kind of person that I need a definitive or just a blatant example. So.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty of them.
For example, you and I, the other day during our rehearsal, we had kind of like a funny, kind of quirky experience, and that is, I was telling my son to say hello to you, and he was running around the apartment pretty much as he is now, and he kept saying, "Alison Lisa, Alison Lisa." Mm-hmm. And I couldn't figure out why he was incorporating the name Lisa. We have friends named Lisa, so at first I thought it was that. And then you told me what?
That I have a sister named Lisa. Of course!
Yeah! So what does that mean? What do I make of it? What happened?
Mm-hmm. He's tuned in to energy. He sees and feels presences. It's a psychic and intuitive and perceptive gift. So and that's really common. It's really common. So he's, we're going to use him as an example because he's at that age where he's really starting to get really verbal and, be able to tell you things and talk to you. So that's part of his everyday world. So he's sending you cues and clues on a daily basis about who his soul is and what his gifts are. And so something like that might have been really easy to just say, oh, I wonder, what is he talking about? And if I hadn't said, oh, I have a sister named Lisa, then it would have been really hard to connect those two dots together, right?
Right, totally.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, but, kids like Cash, they're wanting to express that. That's part of their everyday world. It's who they are, and they don't know any other way to be. That's just like, yeah, that's my gift, and I see that, and I feel it, and I got that name, and I sense it, and so I'm going to say it. Because there's no filter or barrier for them to really share it in that way. So that's part of their everyday world, and that's really common, and it's really typical for kids with spiritual gifts.
So then, what are we're to do what I just did, which was just kind of like laugh it off and not really focus on it, or do I delve into it and ask him how did he come upon that name, or
yes, yeah, curiosity is always a great place to come from, because a lot of moms will say, well, how do I keep my child's gifts open? How do I keep that gift alive and thriving? And so when they're sending you those messages like he did, it's to stop and really be aware that he's showing you who he is and acknowledging it, and then asking questions like, wow, that's so interesting. Tell me more. how did you know that? You know, like having just this curiosity. Because when they feel you coming from a place of curiosity, there's no expectation for them to behave a certain way, and they're able to show you more of that gift, and it keeps the communication between the two of you a lot more open. And he's kind of like, oh, you see that? Oh, I'm going to show you more.
Yeah, it is difficult because, for example, he's done this a few times, and it's along the lines of like your kid is freaking you the F out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you really don't know what to do or how to respond. Mm-hmm. So there have been multiple occasions where we'll be getting on the elevator and he will stop the elevator door from closing because he says more people need to get on.
Yeah.
Or he'll say, wait, the man's not on yet. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Just let the door close.
Right.
But, you know? But sincerely, what if your kid says something that freaks you the fuck out? How do you deal with your own fear about your kid talking to somebody or mentioning somebody that you can't see? And what do you do? How? Help. It's freaking me out.
Yeah, no, and I love how you bring that emotion into it, because first of all, what I want to tell you is that you're not alone in how you feel. Because a lot of moms raising children with these amazing gifts, they don't know how to respond, or they're not really sure what to do with it. So the first thing that I would say to you, Erin, is to let yourself have the freak out.
Okay.
Have it. Own it. Own it. Like if you're going to freak out, then
own it. I own it. If it starts with an F, I own it.
Yeah. Let yourself feel whatever you need to feel around them expressing their gift. Because part of why children are on our planet right now expressing their spirituality is part of the global purpose of them expressing who they are is they're coming in to change how you and the world parent children with spiritual messages. It's going to stretch you past your comfort zone. It is going to push you. It is going to bring up fear. It's going to bring up doubt and overwhelm and God knows what else. And it's all okay. It's on purpose because they're helping you see what your spiritual gifts are. Because for a lot of kids that are showing and expressing who they are, it means that you probably have a really similar gift as well. They're simply asking, acting as mirrors. So a great question sometimes to ask yourself is, oh, where do I feel that freaked out about my own gifts?
Gotcha.
It's a really great question to ponder in that way, because these are spiritual masters. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, I think it's a lot to take in. Our society in general kind of demonizes the abilities, and everything is almost automatically sent to the black side, the negative side, the dark side. Yeah. So, and I think that's human nature. I think that can go back, to throughout. If you look through the annals of humanity, we've always been afraid of that. So how do you help parents who have like their own religious issues with these things, where their religion not only doesn't acknowledge it, but kind of looks down upon it? How do parents deal with that religious practical struggle? What do you advise them about? How?
Well, what's really interesting? I love that question, and I haven't had a lot of experience with that in the moms that cross my path. A lot of the moms that are coming to me for my services are women from all different backgrounds, from Christianity to atheism to Hinduism. There's no exclusion. It's all included, but they have some type of a spiritual knowing or an awakening that's going on within. And for most parents, what I typically see, especially for the moms, is that there's a curiosity. There might be some underlying fear about the spiritual gifts, but really what I see the most is that the fear comes from, what are other people going to think about my child? You know, is my child going to be judged? And a great example that can help put this more into like a concrete context here is there's a family that I know that lives in Canada, and they were at a spiritual center, and they were having a gathering, and people were mingling, and there was a podium that had a microphone on it, and her son at the time was 6, and all of a sudden she heard her son's voice over the microphone. Her son had gotten a chair, and he had pulled it up to the podium, and he stood up on the podium, and he pulled the microphone to his mouth, and he started talking about Jesus. He started talking about love. Now, this is a spiritual center for the Hindu culture, and here he is talking, you know, about Jesus and some of his teachings. And she said she turned around, and when she saw her son clearly as a spiritual master that he was, at first she felt this like gripping fear. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? And she didn't know whether to run up there and grab him from the podium or whether to, you know, just let him be. And so she said she just took a step back, and she watched her son, and she watched the reaction of people, and they were really actually very welcoming of it. So a lot that has to do with beliefs and religion, I think, really has to do with keeping in check what your own thoughts and beliefs are around spiritual gifts, because your children feel that. You know, you're the epicenter of the family as a mom.
Yeah.
You're helping set the emotional tone and dynamic for what your family is experiencing. Like, you're that powerful.
Yeah, no pressure, Allison. No pressure there.
No. And you know what? I say that because there isn't. It's to show you how powerful you are.
Yeah. We are. We're totally powerful. I mean, even last week when I was talking about Google heard me.
Yeah.
I was saying that Google is finicky and sometimes it doesn't work. And what happened? Google was being finicky and it didn't work. But no, I mean, you know, just hearing you, it's just so parallel with everything that we have to do with our parenting. You know, when our child is having a hard time out in public, it's hard for us sometimes for our child to have a hard time because we're worried about what everybody else is going to think. That's just a human nature kind of thing, I think. Mm. But the more and more that you program yourself to really not give a shit what anybody thinks, you know, the more that it just gets easier to not and to embrace, you know, and just worry about the most important thing, which is what's going on with your child and how you can help them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's, you know, I always love to say that raising spiritually gifted children means the death of your ego.
Wait. Say that again?
Yeah. Raising spiritually gifted children means the death of your ego.
Wow. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. So anything that you think you should be doing, that you have to be doing, any preconceived ideas or expectations that keep you safe or looking a certain way to society, your children ask for that to literally just fall away. Because in order for them to feel really free and safe and able to really express who they are and for them to really be who they came here to be, you're in a partnership together, and somewhere along the way your soul said, hey, we're going to show up together in this lifetime, and we're going to work through some issues together. I'm going to shine a little spotlight on that belief, and it's not really going to serve either one of us. So it might be really great to let that one go. And then you do the same thing for your child. It's an equal partnership in that way. So it really requires letting go of who you think your child should be, what you think that they should be doing, or who you think you should be as a mom. And really let the truth of who the two of you are together really reveal itself.
That's huge. I think
Yeah.
as parents, we're always taught to prepare our children for society, so we think that there are specific things that means, that, for example, where tantrums are permitted or when emotions aren't permitted, what type of emotions are permitted. So I think that we already, as parents, struggle with comprehending the fact that our children are people unto themselves.
Yeah.
And even though they may model themselves after us, they're not reflections of us.
Right.
So yeah, it's just got a little more complicated.
Yeah.
It is, in a way. It's like simplistically complex.
Yeah.
That would be a great description. It'd be a really great description. And, the fascinating thing about kids, to back up for a moment, something that I loved that you said, Erin, was, as parents, we're raising our children to be part of society. Or I can't remember what your exact wording was, but it was something like that. And what I love about that statement is that spiritually gifted kids, what you're doing is you're actually preparing society to receive them. That's what it really is. Because so many kids have such a clear knowing of who they are.
Oh yeah.
And if we could just get out of the way, it would be a lot easier.
So true.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about kids, and I always have. And sometimes it's hard because they're so truthful.
Yeah.
Like we were in a cab coming back from our trip, and cabs are generally they smell a little different, but my little boy was just like, oh, disgusting. What is this smell? Like, just laid it out. And it was just like, you just had to embrace the fact that, they're just so truthful if we let them, and we don't say, oh, no, you don't do that, or don't do this, I just agreed with them. I was just like, yeah, it smells a little different, doesn't it? It smells like incense to me. I kind of like it. And just,
Right.
And I didn't stop him from feeling those feelings, but yeah, it can be a little embarrassing, maybe if like you said, our ego takes over.
It does, yeah. It does.
That's a really, again, I come back to just, and I don't know if it's just me because I tend to focus. Usually, I don't tend to focus on the negative, but today I'm like, it's just hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be able to walk that line to where your child's behavior that, like you said, society may not be ready for, but is happening. It's a daily struggle to give your child the emotional and spiritual support that they need to foster their gifts while still maintaining the societal norms. Because, like I said about the elevator, we weren't the only people in the elevator. It's like there were other people in the elevator, and Cash kept stopping the elevator.
Yeah.
Invisible people could get on. So I think that's what we're trying to do, though, OG, in our parenting, just in general, is just that there are norms out there, and I'm totally doing nothing but the opposite of the norms, and trying to make the not normal normal. It's just and you're right, it is really hard because we're like, we were totally brought up different, but we know that, like, I always think of, like, when does it start that we are trying to help our kids to be you know, who we want them to present themselves in society. Well, I think it starts from even before birth. Like we have to, you know, I don't say treat your newborn like an adult, but you have to, you know, start listening to them, and you know, once they start getting words, then you've got to let them talk, and you've got to hear their feelings. And it's like you don't there isn't just a magic time that we just start, you know, letting our kids be who they want to be, and also when we start teaching them who they should be as an adult. It's like it starts now.
Right. It's every day. It's already every day.
Yeah. And I always say, yeah, I totally agree with you, NJ. It's preconception. Because, you know, one of the things I love to say to moms is that your children crave your presence, not your perfection. You know, you don't have to get this right.
Yeah.
And what does right even mean? You know, let your children show you. You know, because how they show you is going to move you from here down into your heart, which is where your children are really waiting for you to arrive.
And we didn't grow up like that, Erin, like our kids teaching us. No. We teach our kids. But right. My gosh, they are the best teachers, because I've never learned so much about myself and more about who I don't want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And you know, motherhood, and especially raising children with spiritual messages, you know, it really is the full spectrum of everything. The really messy, falling to your knees, tears of frustration, screaming, and then on the way other side of the spectrum, the pure bliss and joy. It's all of that and everything in between. And it's all held for you. It's all embraced for you. And you have so much help from forces unseen that are with you all the time, helping the relationship with you and your children. You didn't come here alone to raise your kids. And you were perfectly chosen to be together for a multitude of different reasons.
That's awesome.
So I don't. Oh no, go ahead, OG.
No, go for it, MJ.
Well, I don't know if when I turned my camera off and I had to go, if I missed this, but are we? I know that when you talked about like seeing the Mother Mary, so is it really the not of this world, not on this earth that our children are seeing, and is it past people, or is it? I mean, can it just be a made up, you know, special friend kind of thing, or? And I don't know if you talked about this, so if you did, I'm sorry.
No, I love that. Let's dive further into that, because I get asked that a lot as well. So, you know, one of the signs that your child is spiritually gifted is that they have the amazing ability to connect with spirit. And so that can be a number of different things. So they may see fairies, they may see angels, they may see other spiritual masters, they may see dead relatives, they may see people who used to live in your home. They may feel or sense energy in different contexts. You know, if your child has ever, before they had language, like maybe they were a baby, have you ever heard anyone talk about, you know, their child waking up in the middle of the night, you know, scared or crying, and then they were like pointing at something in the room? Or, you know, if you've ever been holding your baby and they're just really looking up like this, you know, fixated somewhere, they're actually seeing things, and it's okay. You know, it's okay, because this is actually part of our world. We've just been made to believe that it isn't, but it's actually quite special and part of being human.
So
that's awesome.
is there like one thing in particular that can we say, like, okay, so this is just an imaginary friend? Or, I mean, I know it's kind of almost impossible to quantify or to have a box that you can check off, but
Right.
is it really so important that we know? First of all, is it really so important that we know if our child has an imaginary friend or if they're perceiving somebody else?
I love that question. It's so good. You know, it depends upon what the relationship between you and your child is. And if they're showing you by talking about it, by drawing a picture, you know, if you start noticing, gosh, I think they're really trying to tell me something about that, then yeah, it is. Because that's their spirit saying, hey, Mom, this is who I am. This is one of my gifts and abilities, and I want to share it with you. Like, that's what their soul is saying. But sometimes it can be really easy to miss that behavior because children are so intuitive and perceptive and sensitive to how other people might be subconsciously thinking about if they actually tried to talk about it. So that was something that I actually ran into a lot as a child. You know, I tried to share it, and people felt really uncomfortable with that. So I thought, oh, okay, I guess I can't share that. And then sometimes when I might think about sharing it, I could actually sense that people might feel uncomfortable about that. So I made the choice not to share it.
Gotcha.
So, you know, there's different situations in that way. But if your children are openly showing you signs like that, then go ahead and open up the dialogue. Or if they even say, oh, my friend, you know, Fred, you know, is sitting next to me having tea, that really is a person. They're not really imagining it. You know, it's one of their spirit guides, or maybe it's a friend from a past life, or it's an animal. That is really common, very typical.
So
How old were you, Allison? How old were you when you kind of noticed that this was you had this gift?
So I noticed before I was 2 years old. You know, I mean, I can actually remember back literally from the time I was born. I can remember seeing and feeling different spirits and presences around me. And I would play a lot in my room, and, you know, Mary and other spirits would be around me, and I would be talking to them, maybe not necessarily out loud, but like soul communication. My heart was speaking to them. Absolutely. This is real. You know, I think that's what I really want to get across to any of our moms that are really listening into this. It's not imaginary or made up. It's really real. And it's real because this is part of our world. We're not separate from that. And everyone actually has the ability to communicate with spirit. It's just a matter of, are we awake to that? Are we open to that?
Are there ways that we as moms can, I don't know, maybe playing games or something like that, kind of like not only evoke our children to explore their gifts, but also help us explore our own?
Yes. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, drawing pictures is a really, really great way to start opening up that communication with yourself and with your children. Okay. You know, if your children are pointing at things, or they're talking about friends, or they're noticing things, or they're even just really trying to describe it, open up the communication and say, oh, tell me more about that. Okay. You know, can you draw me a picture, you know, if they're of that age? You know, something that's so important is to bring that skill through their body and make it real for them in their body, not just in their consciousness, but really bring it through in their body. And then you, as a parent, can kind of start pondering, wow, I bet I have spiritual guides too. I wonder who it is. Gosh, if I could imagine one of my guides, what would they look like?
Gotcha.
What would I want them to look like? Curiosity is like one of the best energies that you can play in with your children, because there's no expectation.
Right.
You can't get it wrong or right. Just curiosity.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that you we're kind of running through our time so quickly today, but
Yeah.
I know that you have something really exciting coming up, so I want to make sure that you get a chance to put it out there.
Yeah, thanks, Erin.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we could talk for hours about, this subject.
Yes.
And,
And we should have you on one of our shows then. I mean,
Yeah.
we should continue this conversation.
Yeah, it's such an important topic, because the one spiritual gift that we've been talking about today, seeing spirits, that's just like a snippet
It's like
of
the iceberg.
of other spiritual gifts that are possible. Yeah, that's just one example that a lot of people can relate to, because you hear stories about that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wanted to be able to share with your viewers is I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing a workshop here locally in Encinitas, California, at the Tree of Life Birth Center, coming up on Saturday, July 18th from 2 to 4 p.m. And all the content that we've been talking today has just been like a little sneak peek into learning more. And it's actually, the name of the workshop is called The 5 Must-Have Tools That Nurture Your Child's Gifts So You Can Raise a Confident Spiritual Leader.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's going to be an enlightening 2-hour experience where you're going to get to gather with other moms that are raising children with similar messages and abilities and behaviors, and you're going to get to be able to relate to one another and share. And of course, you're going to learn 5 essential tools that you can start implementing as soon as you walk out the door. We're going to go deeper into how do I recognize that my child's behaviors mean that they're spiritually gifted, and you go deeper into what all that really means. And you're going to learn some really powerful language to start using with your children that are going to help keep their gifts open and alive.
So cool.
Yeah, I really wanted to design an experience that really helps moms feel more at peace and ease, feeling more confident and capable to nurture your child's gifts, because this is something that is really awakening on the planet more and more. And so, this is the perfect opportunity to come and really learn some really great wisdom and techniques and have some questions answered. So,
Awesome.
Where can people
so if that is
out?
speaking to you, what's that?
Where can people go to find out about this seminar?
Yeah, so the easiest way is to go to www.nurturemychildsgifts.com. And everything you need to know is on that page, and you can register right there from that page. And the tickets for the workshop, you save $10 by registering early. It's $45 at the door, and it's $35 if you buy them now.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm sure this is probably maybe on your Facebook page too, right?
Yeah, I'm posting it today. Yeah, I'm announcing the workshop today. So your viewers are some of the first people to be able to receive the opportunity.
Yay. And we do have people watching us live right now, so
Great.
that is really cool.
Great.
So your Facebook page is your name, right?
Yes.
And then what's the rest of it?
So are you asking me what my Facebook page is?
Yeah.
So I have one that's personal, Alison Elsberry, and then I have one for my business. That's Alison Elsberry, Divine Motherhood.
Divine Motherhood. Okay, awesome.
And on Google Plus?
What's that?
Your Google Plus? is Alison Elsberry, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Cool.
But the easiest way is to go to the URL nurturemychildsgifts.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Perfect. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. It's going to be a really powerful experience.
So just to give us, our viewers, another little kind of tidbit, can you just maybe give us a little sneak peek into one of the tools or one of the phrases that we could use?
Yes. So one of the phrases I started mentioning is coming from that place of curiosity, saying, "That's so interesting. Tell me more."
Got it.
You know, like if someone were to, imagine if someone were to tell you that, you would
Yeah.
feel welcomed to share.
Yep.
You would feel like someone really cares and that there's a safe space. And when you say that to your child, you'll be amazed at what the world will open up for them.
Yeah, open-ended questions is awesome.
Yeah. So that is a really, really powerful tip. Yeah, that's so interesting. Tell me more. You know, so if, to use you and Cash as an example, Erin, so if he does that on the elevator again, say, "Gosh, that's so interesting. How did you know that there were other people coming? I love that.
Yeah.
Tell me."
Okay. I will give it a try.
Yeah, and you know what? And you can still come from curiosity and have your freak out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I'm like, I don't see them, honey. You can see them, but I can't. And can you hit the button now? We have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, one of the last things I want to say here is just because your child sees spirits or has a sensation that other people might be coming and you don't see them, I'm sure a lot of people might be able to relate to that.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about raising a spiritually gifted child is that you don't have to see the same things that they see to understand. Your child's not asking you to understand it or get it. They're asking you to acknowledge and accept.
I can do that.
Really big difference.
Yeah.
Say, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool."
Yeah, and just to make them feel comfortable too, just, you know, so that they don't feel like, oh, shame or, you know, any type of negativity towards it. I mean, you know, this is just the way that we're trying to do things in our parenting. So, you know, it just kind of goes along with, and I think that our viewers too, the people that are watching this, are trying to do the same thing. You know, we know as an adult that having ourselves feel heard and our feelings validated, that, oh my gosh, the weight is lifted off off our shoulders. So.
Fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you can still be curious and have a freak out.
I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. Okay.
And you can actually do both at the same time. You can actually say to your child, "Wow, that is so fascinating. That's so cool. I'm so happy for you. I love that. Tell me more." Because mommy feels a little scared.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, tell me more about that, so that I can help you, so that I can understand you.
Totally.
Remember, your children aren't craving your perfection. They're asking for your presence. And part of your presence is being present to the own emotion that you're having about who your child is.
Yeah.
Woo!
I know. If it isn't already hot in San Diego, it is hot now.
Yeah, I could feel the energy rise on that one.
I'm feeling some energy.
Awesome. Well, Alison, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was fascinating, and you know, it's not often that we, as moms, have the opportunity to talk about those little things that our children say or do that are beyond the norm.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the opportunity to have that without mockery or disbelief. And I'm sure that there are a lot of other moms out there who would appreciate that that kind of reception to their to their daily lives, the things that are shaking them up, shaking their boots.
Yes, thank you, Erin, because that is truly my intention, is to hold such a clear and loving and compassionate, fiercely compassionate space.
Well, you're rocking it, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, and the workshop is a great container to come and be held in that space, because we're going to be going deep into what are some of these spiritual gifts, and you being really able to say, oh my gosh, yeah, my child's doing that, or no, they're really not doing that one, but they're doing this. It's that space to come and feel safe and just sink in and relax and know that it's judgment-free and there's nothing but love there for you.
That's awesome. And what about people who don't live in San Diego? So is there a way for somebody outside of San Diego to access this information?
I love that, because I'm getting some requests for that, and I might actually I'm going to be doing some other workshops in different locations, going up to LA, different places in California, but I'm having requests from, say, moms in Australia and New Zealand, and so I very well might put like a teleseminar together to have other moms hopping on the phone and really listening to this as well. Yeah.
That would be super cool. You'll have to keep us posted.
I definitely will.
And we will happily spread the word.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, or Google Hangout. If you need help with that, let us know.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool if we did that for one of our shows, Allison. If we got some moms and we did that, a Google Hangout, I think that would be a really cool and fun idea.
Okay, I'm totally open to that. So we're going to let Spirit show the way.
Awesomeness. Thank you. And
Absolutely.
go ahead and say goodbye to everybody this morning, and thank you guys for your time and your patience. And definitely your interest. And if you have something that you would like us to look into for you, let us know. Mama Tribe Network on Facebook and Google+, or you can email us at mamatribenetwork@gmail.com. Tell us what you want us to look into, and we will try and get it for you, regardless of your location. So, thank you so much, Allison and MJ. MJ!
I'm here.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm just sending so much love and ease and joy and compassion to all of your viewers.
Yay! We need that.
Inviting them to reach out to me if you have any questions, or if I can be of any service to you in any way. I'm here for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mamacita. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so everyone have a great day or evening, regardless of what time you're watching this. I hope you have a peaceful moment. So.
Bye.